Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Patsy Reddy, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Sir David Gascoigne.
E ngai hua kaunga ka papu ka hiro te motu e piki mai rā ka ke mai rā i runga i te reo rā hiri a te kāwana te ana re nā mai rā ere mai rā a mua mai rā ngā para kawa kawa ora tau mā ke runga i a kou tau i te rā
Taia tēnei momo taia tēnā momo. Whakamānawatia. Whakamānawatia te toki atu, whakamānawatia te rau oromo. Oi whiwhia te tohu, oi rawe a te tohu, oi tāmau a te tohu, taumata rautia te tohu, haumi e, hui e, tāki e.
Kia ora tātou katoa, nau mai haere mai rā ki te whare kāwana. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings to you all. Welcome to Government House. I specifically acknowledge our kaumautua, Professor Piri Shasha, and our kuia, Te Uripuai Higgins. Tēnā koutou. It is a pleasure for us to host this investiture ceremony for 12 honour recipients, in the presence of their family and friends, to recognise the contributions they have made to our country. The Governor-General has the authority and privilege on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of New Zealand, to hold an investiture for her and to confer the honours to which each recipient is entitled. Ladies and gentlemen, as each one is honoured by the Governor-General, I invite you to join her in thanking and congratulating them for their service to our country. Mr. Ward Carmore will now summon the recipients and read a citation for each one.
Thank you, Your Excellency. To receive the insignia of a Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dr. Amanda Oakley of Hamilton, for services to dermatology. Dr. Amanda Oakley is a dermatologist who founded DermNet New Zealand, the world's most popular online resource for skin health, where she continues as editor-in-chief. DermNet NZ is Health on the Net certified, receives visits from 2 million people a month, and is a registered charitable trust. Dr. Oakley was Clinical Director of the Department of Dermatology of Waikato District Health Board and teaches as an Honorary and Adjunct Associate Professor at the University of Auckland's Waikato Clinical Campus. Her research is centred on methods of early diagnosis of melanoma, and she has authored an extensive range of research papers as well as 2 internationally used textbooks. Dr. Oakley is past president of the Australian and New Zealand Vulvovaginal Society, the New Zealand Dermatological Society, and Waikato Postgraduate Medicine. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. Matutaira Clendon of Auckland for services to Māori. Matutaira Clendon has served Te Rāwhiti Marae over the past 6 decades. He has been a member of Te Rāwhiti Māori Committee and is a kaumātua of Te Rāwhiti Marae Trustees. He is chair of 3B2 Ahuhenua Trust and has overseen conservation projects and pest eradication in the Bay of Islands. He played a significant role in establishing Te Rāwhiti Enterprises Limited, who created a marine reef off Cape Brett to attract divers and regenerate fish levels. He is Deputy President of the World Polynesian Organisation, which he was instrumental in forming. He supported the formation of the bilingual childcare centre, Manaaki Whānau Rōpū Tupurangi, Te Kohanga Reo. Mr. Clendon is Chair of the Board of Trustees of Te Ngaru Whare Akonga, a total immersion childcare centre. Mrs. Tracy Fair of Maroochydore, Australia, for services to netball. Tracy Fair played for the Silver Ferns in the 1980s, including as captain, and then went on to a career in coaching and administration. She played 63 tests for New Zealand, including gold medal wins at the World Games and World Tournament. After retiring as a player, she coached the New Zealand A, New Zealand Under-21's Waikato and Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic teams. She worked for Netball New Zealand, first as a Netball Development Officer and then as Netball Director and High Performance Director. In the latter role, she developed and implemented their strategic plans for high performance. Her achievements included overseeing the successful campaigns for the World Netball Championships, the World Youth Championships, and back-to-back gold medals at 2 Commonwealth Games. Mr. Roger Haynes of Auckland for services to refugee and human rights law. Roger Haynes was one of the original appointees to the Refugee Status Appeal Authority and remained a member until its disestablishment, including time as Deputy Chair. Several of his decisions have been cited with approval by the House of Lords, now the United Kingdom Supreme Court. He was the adjunct lecturer in law at the University of Auckland. As chair of the Human Rights Review Tribunal, he has tackled nuanced human rights issues. For many years, he compiled and maintained the New Zealand Refugee Law website. He has participated in the Michigan colloquium process, in which refugee law scholars, judges, and students come together to produce the Michigan Guidelines on aspects of refugee law. Mr. Haynes has also participated in a number of projects with the UNHCR and the UN Refugee Agency. Excellency to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit. Dr. Deborah Challinor of Hamilton for services to literature and historical research. Dr. Deborah Challinor is a historian and an author of historical fiction. Her military history PhD thesis on the Vietnam War was published as the book Grey Ghosts, which drew more than 50 oral histories of New Zealand combatants. She co-wrote the book Who'll Stop the Rain, which documented the experiences of New Zealand veterans and their families suffering from the effects of Agent Orange. Her first historical fiction novel, Tamar, has been reprinted domestically 6 times and published overseas. She has published a further 15 novels, all set against defining moments in New Zealand's history. In 2015, 2016 and 2017, Dr. Challinor was New Zealand's highest-selling author. Ms. Sarah Longbottom of Auckland for services to youth and the arts. Sarah Longbottom is the founder of Ngā Rangatahi Toa, a youth development organisation that teams trained teaching artists with high-risk rangatahi, using creativity and a whānau-centred approach to educate and inspire young people removed from the education system. Ngā Rangatahi Toa Performing Arts Program are co-designed with rangatahi and whānau, and merge the arts with positive youth development to foster a strong sense of self and confidence. Public events are held to showcase the talent and stories of the young people and change the narrative of at-risk youth. Ms. Longbottom has been recognised nationally and internationally for her leadership in education and empowerment through creativity. Mr. Brian Stannett of Te Awamutu for services to wrestling. Brian Stannett represented New Zealand in wrestling at the 1969 Australia-New Zealand Championships. He has been a district coach, judicial panel member and chairman president of Waikato Wrestling. He was the New Zealand national coach for 3 terms. He was national president of the New Zealand Olympic Wrestling Union. He's also served as national selector, national treasurer, judicial panel member and director of promotions. A qualified international judge referee, he is known as one of New Zealand's top mat officials. Mr. Stannett is currently treasurer of the Oceania Olympic Wrestling Association, patron of the Te Awamutu YMI, and New Zealand Secretary General of the New Zealand Olympic Wrestling Union. Her Excellency to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mr Raymond Coffin of Te Aguichi for services to the Māori Wardens Association. Raymond Coffin has been involved with the Māori Wardens Association in Mangakino for more than 50 years. He is chairperson of the Maniapoto Māori Wardens Charitable Trust and engages regularly with the district and regional Māori councils to develop community strategies. He is responsible for the training and development of new Māori Warden officers. He has assisted at numerous events with the Māori Wardens, including Waitangi Day celebrations, kapahaka competitions, sharing events, the Kaua Maro inter-marae tribal sporting events, and Koronehana celebrations. Mr Coffin is a life member of the New Zealand JCs associations. Mrs Avis Leeson of Hamilton for services to horticultural education. Mrs Avis Leeson has donated her time to creating vegetable gardens and orchards at more than 300 schools in the Waikato region and from Northern to Invercargill. In 2017, Mrs Leeson developed a project to teach children how to grow food. She initiated the project at her former primary school in Morrinsville, and her gardens have since spread to schools from Karapiro to Hamilton North. Her project has reconnected children with the facts of how food is produced and has been sponsored entirely by businesses and staffed by volunteers. For health reasons, she stepped down from active participation in 2014, with the project now continued through the Avis Leeson Fruit Tree Trust. Mrs Leeson continues to assist the trust and is producing a gardening manual for the schools involved. Mrs Catherine Tullach and Mr Robert Tullach of Whangarei for services to seniors and people with disabilities. Kathy Tullach and her husband Rob Tullach were instrumental in building the Forget-Me-Not Adult Day Centre in Tikipunga and have been involved with the centre since its opening. The centre provides care and activities for patients with disabilities, the elderly and frail, and those with memory loss or head injuries. Clients are driven to and from their home each day by the centre's van service, of which Mr Tullach has been one of the main volunteer drivers throughout. Mrs Tullach was chairperson of the centre's board and is currently secretary. Mr and Mrs Tullach have supported the Whangarei Stroke Club, with Mrs Tullach being an advisor to the club's treasurer. Mrs Tullach also supports elderly and disabled members of the community requiring assistance or facing financial difficulties. Mrs. Margaret Wade of Warkworth for services to conservation. Lynn Wade is chair of the Little Barrier Island, Hauturu, Supporters Trust, which seeks support for the conservation of the Hauturu Otoi, Little Barrier Island. She has coordinated working weekends on the island and helped recruit new volunteers. She has been involved with translocations of birds and other animals. She has contributed to the management of the Head Start program for tuatara on Hauturu and participated in a tuatara field study. She has organised and participated in several Kiwi Call Count surveys. Mrs. Wade has undertaken several botanical field trips and assisted the Department of Conservation as a volunteer. Your Excellency, the investiture is concluded.
An investiture ceremony is the most important event the Governor-General holds on behalf of Her Majesty, the Queen of New Zealand. It allows the Governor-General to recognise and thank an extraordinary group of people on behalf of all New Zealanders. By using their talents to make ours a better society, whether by service to their communities or by their leadership in diverse fields of endeavour or their commitment to excellence in their fields of expertise, our recipients have set a fine example to others, encouraging them in their own endeavours. To the recipients, it has been a privilege for us all to hear your stories and to appreciate the qualities that have enabled you to serve others, achieve success, or make an outstanding contribution in your own field. In your own way, each of you has helped to make New Zealand a better place to live. In some cases, your influence and the positive impact of your work has extended beyond our shores. Your actions and the stories we have heard reflect the spirit of the words of Nelson Mandela, who said, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead." Your contribution has enriched the cultural, social and economic fabric of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Please wear your insignia with pride, knowing that your communities appreciate and value the impact of your work and are inspired by your example. On behalf of the Queen of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, the Governor-General congratulates you on your achievements and thanks you for your service to your country. Kia ora tātou katoa. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude the formal part of today's ceremony, I invite you to stand and sing our national anthem in Māori and in English.
Amen.
Could all the recipients please follow Government House staff outside for the formal photograph? Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand.